What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knapp Fishing. Today's video, we're going to talk about a little bit of tournament prep. This is going to be our kind of the official kickoff for the Lake Chickamauga BFL Volunteer Division first tournament of the year. We are going down to Lake Chickamauga, so I'm going to kick off this tournament series as to how we prepare for it and things that you need to do to kind of get ready for your upcoming tournament. So let's dive into it. All right, guys, so, one of the things that I think a lot of younger anglers ask me about on tournament days and stuff like that, they're like, is there anything that we can do beforehand to kind of get ready, or what do you do when it comes to rods? How many rods do you take? How many reels do you take? Do you change out your line on everything? So we're going to kind of go over all of that. As far as rods and reels, how many do you take? Take as many as you feel are necessary. That's kind of always my answer to everybody. Only take what you feel is going to be necessary. I own 35 rods and reels. Do I need to take all 35 to every tournament? No, probably not. So one of the things that you can do to kind of prepare for that is look at seasonal patterns. YouTube is a great source of information. You can get out there and look up any lake in the country, and you can put in the time period of when you're going, and you can see kind of what the seasonal patterns are. So seasonal patterns for Chickamauga, that's the tournament that we're going to, is Lake Chickamauga. So in for Lake Chickamauga in the winter time, we're not really like super cold like it usually is, so it's going to be a little bit better of a tournament. But for this tournament, we're looking at for staple baits this time of year, you've got the Alabama rig, which is just kind of a given everywhere. You've got a lipless crankbait, usually some kind of red. You've got flat-sided crankbaits. You've got spinnerbaits, jigs. So those are kind of the staples. Oh, and a single swim bait. I forgot about that one. Single finesse swim bait. So those are just kind of the staples that you're going to be talking about anytime you go to Lake Chickamauga in the winter. The Tennessee State record, 15 pounds and however many ounces, came out of Lake Chickamauga in the winter on an Alabama rig. So, I'm not going to say that we're going to go out there and I'm going to chuck an Alabama rig for the whole 8-9 hours of the tournament. I'm not going to do it. It's going to wear me out, and I like the Alabama rig, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So that's the first thing you need to do when you're preparing for this, is you need to figure out what are the staples, what is the most common thing used during this time of year. So now that we've kind of got those staples, we're down to 5 of those. So how many rods do you realistically need? Me personally, I'm taking 12 rods with me. And that's having multiple jig rods, multiple spinnerbait rods, multiple lipless rods, and multiple cranking rods. And that way I can have it on deck. I can, if I break one off, I can just grab another rod instead of sitting down and tying. It's not really something, you don't have to have this stupid amount of baits out there. Now, with that being said, I am going to have a finesse swim bait rod. I'm going to have a shaky head rod, and I'm going to have a drop shot rod, because those are just kind of something that you can lean back on. If, God forbid, we get a massive cold front run through there, I have something I can come back on that's a little more finessey that I might be able to lock it down. So rods and reels, kind of, it's everybody's own opinion, but that's kind of my feel on it. Now, as far as line goes, I got a lot of kids ask me, they're like, do you really change your line out every tournament? Heck no. No. If we changed our line every tournament, I would be broke. Guys, I don't get fishing line for free. I get it discounted, but I don't get it for free. It's still very expensive. I change my fishing line once a year. Now, for example, my jig rod, this is my Old 18 suppressor series with the Luz Pro TI. This is my jig rod. And this is the one rod that is on my deck year-round. And I always keep it on the deck, literally on the deck. Like it's not in the rod box, it's actually on the deck. So I may change that line a little more often. If you have a rod that you are just continuously hammering them with, that is your go-to rod, you're probably going to want to change that line a little more often, because it does get brittle from the sun. That's kind of a little bit of a problem with this stuff, is the sun does kind of make stuff a little bit brittle. So now that we've kind of gone over the line, as far as prepping for the actual tournament, equipment-wise, you know, we're not going to get into map studies and all that jazz. That's for the next video. As far as prepping for equipment and everything, I make sure everything is tied on. I make sure that I have enough of everything out there. For example, if I know that I'm going to be throwing if I know I'm going to be throwing an Alabama rig all tournament, I'm going to have, depending on what state you live in, you're only allowed a certain amount of hooks. In my state, I'm allowed 3 hooks. And for FLW, it's even, or MLF now, that's going to take some getting used to. For MLF, it's even stricter. 3 hooks, 5 arms, 4 blades. So it's very strict as to what it is. So make sure you know your rules and regulations, first of all, for the Alabama rig. But so I'm going to make sure that I have multiple Alabama rigs. I'll probably take 6 Alabama rigs with me. I use the Yum Flash Mob, I believe they're called. They come in a really slender pack and a little envelope that I can just throw a bunch of them in my boat, and it's really easy to carry those. Jig heads, I'm going to be bringing, I use the VMC Neon Moon Eye jig, I think is what it's called. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is, though. I use 1/8 ounce, and I will probably bring upwards of 30 of those. They do bend out a lot, so I don't actually want the hooks like bend out any or anything like that. So I am going to bring a lot of those. Baits, depending on what baits you use. A lot of it's going to depend on the water temperature when I get there. I will go with either a X-Zone Swammer or a high-tech Fat Impact Shad. It all depends on when I get there, what the water temperature is. But make sure you bring plenty of those. I will be bringing 5 packs of the Swammers and 10 packs of Kitex, because I also use the Kitex for the micro swim baiting, and they just get torn up really easily. So make sure you have plenty of baits. You know, you always want to make sure that you have plenty of baits out there, especially when you're practicing. I don't know how everybody else practices. That's something else we're going to go over in another video. But just make sure that you have plenty of your plastics there, plenty of your baits of what you're going to be using. When it comes to crankbaits, don't just go with just one crankbait of whatever you are, because I guarantee you will lose that one crankbait. It's just how it goes. It's the laws of physics there. You take one, a sucker's going to be gone as soon as you catch your first one. So, if I know that I'm going to go down there and I'm throwing an American Shad LV 500 by Lucky Craft, I'm going to have 3 or 4 of them in the boat just to be safe. And this is where tournament fishing gets expensive. And I know a lot of people are like, well, we don't have that kind of money to spend on tournaments. I get that. But if you want to go out and you want to tournament fish and you want to win, you got to have multiple baits, because I'm telling you, it will never fail. Douglas Lake, 2019, Douglas Lake. We were out there. I just caught a limit out there chucking away. I have one that I'm talking, it's barely on the board, barely 15 inches. Like I want to cull this. I want to get rid of it. I'm going to town. I broke the only spinnerbait I had left by Lick Creek Custom Lures. Broke it clean in half. So I started digging around. Thankfully, I had some other colors. I redid skirts. I retied it on. Went out there. I was able to cull out. I think I culled like 3 more times, and I had a good bag going in. So that's something that you've got to be ready for. You always got to have multiple baits, because you never know when you're going to get out there and you're just going to accidentally break something off. And it happens, guys. It's how fishing is. So as far as more tournament prep beforehand, this is before you ever go to your tournament, before you ever even look at the maps, anything like that. Make sure that you are organized in your boat. Make sure everything is cleaned up, put away. You don't want a bunch of random baits laying there. Like, if you guys are like me, I have one corner in my boat. I'm tying on whatever. I'm done with it. I chuck it right in that corner, and it just kind of sits there until I'm done. So you need to make sure that everything is organized, put away, not really cramped up. You're not going to get a hook anywhere. You need to know where everything is. So organization is key when you're out here in these fishing tournaments. So guys, that's just kind of a real quick pre-tournament of how I get ready as far as gear goes. Looking at your staple baits, what you're going to be taking, what you need, making sure you have plenty stock in it, and making sure everything is organized, ready to rock and roll. Oh, the other thing that I did want to go over, check your trailer, check your lights, check your grease in your bearings, in the tire wheels, or in the tire rims. My dad and I just got done. This is why this is fresh on my mind. My dad and I just got done. We had a trailer light go out. We didn't know why. But, you know, we're traveling 3.5 hours to Lake Chickamauga. We want to make sure everything is working correctly. So go through, you know, hook it all up to your truck, plug it all in, do a test, left turn signal, right turn signal, flashers, brakes, running lights, make sure everything is working flawlessly. Get in the boat, make sure your bilge pump's working, make sure your aerators are working, your circulator is working, your navigation light is working, your anchor light is working, make sure your motor's working, make sure everything is good with that, make sure your oil's filled. That's one that I always have a bad problem with, making sure that oil's full. Just go through and make sure everything is operational, ready to go long before you ever get ready for this tournament. You need to do it again, you know, the day before the tournament in case anything happened, but long before you ever even leave, make sure everything is ready to go, especially those bearings in your wheels. I had a tire blowout. We were going to Cherokee Lake. Air temperature was like 28 out. Water temperature was like 42. It was freezing. And I rode all the way there, didn't realize that one of my bearings was extremely low on grease and was getting really hot. I dropped it in the water. It cracked as I was pulling up. I see a tire go rolling by me, kind of like in the cartoons, and you saw a tire go rolling by, you're like, ha, ha, ha. It's not funny. It actually happens. It did happen to me it was at Fall Creek on Cherokee. That tire went rolling by me. I was like, huh. I wonder what that is. And then I looked and I'm dragging an axle behind me. So make sure you check those bearings. Anyway, guys, really short video today. I didn't want to get too crazy long with it, but we are going to have some more tournament series videos coming for you guys. We're gonna start hammering those out. But if you guys like this video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know where you're commenting from. I'd love to talk to you guys. Let me know if you have any other pre-organizational or pre-tournament, anything like that that you kind of get ready for, and any maybe superstitions you have to get ready for the tournaments. I'd love to hear those down in the comment section below. So take care, guys.